We finally got some information out of Asha Sharma about the layoffs over at Microsoft, and it is looking brutal, but not as bad as I thought it would be for this year, at least. So, to get straight into it, if you're here, this is probably auto playing off of another video of someone that's actually read this in full, so we're not going to go over that. I do want to go over some of the key parts that I'm looking at it as someone that's worked in games for a while, and in particular has worked with a lot of like the Silicon Valley types with a lot of the focus on metrics. Part of the reason why I thought Asha may be a good fit for Xbox is for a lot of these folks that come from a lot of these like mobile companies, as much as people dislike mobile games, mobile is a very good environment at looking at data and just being really cold and calculated about it. And in Asha Sharma's case, she's also someone that did a lot of user acquisition, which if you can find a good user acquisition person in kind of anywhere, those people are worth their weight in gold. Most of those people just spend like, tens, hundreds of millions of dollars and then come up later and say, oh, you know what, we didn't make it back. And when you spend $1 in user acquisition, you need more than $1. Spoiler alert, Xbox was not getting back anything above $1. So let's take a look a little bit over here. So we heard, I really like this out of Asha Sharma, where she's saying, this is what I sent out to the people over at Microsoft. Because when we have these things happen, you do not see this whole, you see a leaked something that goes to like Kotaku or some other, questionable journalist location, and then that all kind of comes out. Maybe Paul Tassi hears something and then he lets us know. This is a very direct, hey, I sent this out to Xbox and everyone at Xbox. I'm going to give it to you guys now. We're going to be super transparent about the whole thing. It's written very well, very nice. And through it, she's saying they're getting rid of 3,200 people for through fiscal year 2027, half of them being today. And when she's talking about a little further down, kind of what they were spending, what was it? Cents. There we go. In a typical year, they lost 64 cents for every dollar they invested in Xbox. Which, first off, as someone that's like done, or at least tried to do like individual stock trading where I don't just stick it in an index fund, I gotta say, like getting back 64 cents on every dollar is actually like way better than me. So they're beating me on that aspect. But when it comes to a lot of Xbox in particular, is the overspending. And that's something that we've been seeing. And I forget her name, Laura. I'll grab her video below and put it in the description. Someone that worked at Xbox for a long time and talked about how this big issue with a lot of these companies that get brought into Xbox, they come in and they're like, we've made it. We've got all this money. And then what do? They just bloat themselves up. They get bigger offices. They do all this stuff to just increase expenses because they're not having to foot the bill anymore. It's all Microsoft at that point. And that has been the case across the board. I will say, this to talk a little bit about, we had the 4 studios that got announced not last week, I think it was the week before last. Compulsion Games, Double Fine, and Ninja Theory and Undead Labs, and Arcane. And we heard that they were going to be told that, so I'm going to get full screen, so I'm just going to monologue here. They were told, hey, you're going to need to find a new home. And I think a lot of us were wondering what that was going to look like, whether if it was going to be, hey, you've got like 30 days to basically like find someone, or 60 days or something, or you're all laid off. And it looks like for all these individuals, they're basically being given all of their IP and they're told, all right, you're just going to be on your own for at least a couple of them. So they're back to individually managed. They're going to have to lay off a lot of people realistically, because for places like Double Fine, their games are not printing money and they've, overhired. So a lot of the individual layoffs that are going to happen at these companies that are getting spun out of Xbox and their umbrella are going to probably over the next few months have to go through their own internal conversations to decide who they're going to keep. They may have significant layoffs at all these studios because they're not just being given the, infinite cash flow out of Xbox. Sucks for them down the line, but to see that they were left with their IPs, that's pretty rare. I feel like usually we see a company get shut down, the publisher keeps the IP, and it sucks. But in this case, we've got these companies that get to keep their IP, they get to go on, keep making games, and in theory, they could turn themselves around and actually be successful again. Getting back over here, I liked seeing a couple things here. So we have changes coming in Activision, Bethesda, Blizzard King, Mojang, all that jazz. But Mojang and King will directly report to Asha. I want to see a lot of layoffs out of Blizzard. I want to see a lot of layoffs out of Bethesda. I want to see, I guess those are the two big ones. Those are the IPs I care about. Stuff out of Blizzard and stuff out of, I just want a Morrowind remake, honestly. But the fact that they're bringing in Mojang and King closer. These are both companies that are focusing more on mobile. They're going to be very metrics focused. And are they going to have layoffs there? Probably, I assume. You'll see some levels of those because they're under Xbox. I just assume everyone overhired without, with total abandon. But if they're being brought in to be kind of more direct into the process, I don't view that as something where it's like, oh, they need a lot of hand-holding. That probably means that they're very well off and they can just have someone directly report. Whereas some of these other companies, they may want to put like handlers above them to say, all right, you need to watch over them. They're idiots with money. They don't know what they're doing. After this transition, make sure that they've got their act together. So I wouldn't look at this as something of they're going to totally focus on mobile because Xbox is everything. I feel like that era is dead. I feel like Asha's trying to use her political capital coming in to potentially bring Xbox into the next console generation on the right foot because they're in a really bad spot, really bad. And PlayStation has just been fumbling the ball for a long time now. We had they're getting decimated over at PlayStation by like Domino's Pizza UK, where everyone's mocking them relentlessly for this whole idea of like, well, you guys don't even get discs anymore. You can just get your download codes and be happy. It's a dark age for game ownership in general, and everyone's kind of got their own ideas behind that. I'm not going to get too far into that. I'm hoping Asha and the folks at Xbox will see this out of PlayStation and then decide to just have a disk drive in their next console, wherever it's going to be, because that's immediately going to put them a step above PlayStation and kind of like Uno Reverso, that old, what generation was that? Was it the Xbox One, where they were like, we're going to make it so that they wanted to like destroy the GameStop market. So they're like, all your discs are like one use only. And everyone's seen that legendary like PlayStation, like, oh, how do you share your games? And you just like gives them the game. And now you look at PlayStation now, it's a total joke. If they play their cards right under Xbox, they have the ability to really turn things around. I have seen some people getting really upset because they're like, oh, I can't believe all these layoffs are happening. These are smart people. They're great people. If they were really smart and they were really capable, they would have been making good games. That's all there is to it. There is no ifs, ands, or buts about it. There are going to be good people that are going to get laid off that probably are really excellent at what they do. And that's just how it is. Like, that's always how it is. But ideally, we're going to see a lot more targeted layoffs for individuals that are putting their personal beliefs above that of making a good game. And we have that across the board with a lot of Xbox studios, where you have people that push their personal social issues over gamers. What was it? Some guy out of Obsidian, for example. I forget, art director. I want to say his name was like Hansen or something rather. He got let go in this wave, so he's done. He went on a year or two back, was saying something about how white people needed to be replaced in the industry, and he should have been fired right then and there. That really opened them up to a lot of liability, both externally and internally, by that person making that statement. And, I'm glad he's gone finally. It's unfortunate that they wouldn't do it sooner, but, in that studio's case, they had a couple of underperforming games, and that's just all there is to it. The last thing, I'm kind of going through this again with you guys here. So one of the other things that we're saying was reducing the management layers. No more than 5 as possible, dropping it down to 3. This is fantastic. This is really good to see. And really importantly, people that are directly responsible individuals, DRIs, who own key decisions and outcomes. And this is something that the games industry has needed across the board for a long time. I've said it many times. I'm going to say it again for the folks that have been here in the channel a while. I apologize, but Hideo Kojima is like the best example. You know what you're getting. He's the person that makes all the decisions. Whereas in a lot of these other places, you've got folks that are like, oh, it's a democracy and we all just have our own creative decisions. And most of the people in democracies suck. And a lot of the people that are working at these game studios also suck. So you want to take their ideas, you want to get them on paper, and you want to throw them through a shredder because they're worthless, totally worthless. If you look at how they have transformed stuff like World of Warcraft or Overwatch, you can say, wow, that's a lot of garbage where they're not making things for people. They're like having some tools that are like, oh, well, how diverse is this character? No one cares. Just make a cool game, make cool characters, make great skins. But the moment someone has any kind of like jiggle physics, they're like, oh, how dare you? Oh, this is so offensive to people that don't play our game. Just get rid of them all. All of them. Thousands of people more need to lose their jobs. And they need to try and do their very best to get all of the people that were like treating gamers as a slur and like hating the people that are actually their core audience. They need to get rid of all of them. They need to make it abundantly clear across the board that those days of that stupidity are truly, truly dead. And with this layer reduction, getting that being able to point to something and say, who is in charge of this? I want to know who's in charge of this, and not have it be like, well, there was like 30 people at a meeting. It's just like, no, it's this one dude. So if there's something where everything's going wrong and you got a bunch of stupid decisions getting made, you can just look at one person and say, I think I'm going to fire you now. And I'm going to replace you with someone that's going to fire the people under you that are pushing for these stupid things, or at least tell them to shut up or kick them out of the meeting or just flat out ignore them. Whatever you have to do to get the good games out the door, I personally don't care. But I do want to see a lot of these people that have been ruining these games that we've all loved for decades, and I want to see them gone permanently. I do not ever want to see a lot of these people that have been taking franchises and like the memories that we hold dear to us and throwing them into the garbage and then mocking us like we're some idiots for liking it. I want them gone forever. I never want to hear them again. I heard that McDonald's is hiring hundreds of thousands of people this summer, and hey, I think they have benefits, so enjoy yourself. But getting out to it, let's see. Looks like that's the last of the big stuff. They're talking a little bit about some more important roles for stuff, which I don't think by and large any of us really care about. The end result is the most important for us. We want to see leaner teams so that we don't have this issue where we've got the PlayStation thing where it's like the Concord tax. Then we were finding out that basically every game has had a $400 million budget out of PlayStation. And then we can just focus on getting good games. Have people that care about the franchises make the games good, and then everything should be fine. And for the folks that are good at what they do, they actually care, they're losing their jobs, I'm really sorry. That really sucks. It is what it is. For the others, screw them. I don't care. Good riddance. And realistically, this is going to repeat next fiscal year. Because as much as she talks in this whole thing here about all this stuff about what's going to happen, at no point does she say this is the end, because this is just the first iteration. This fiscal year, over 3,000 people are going to lose their jobs, and next fiscal year they're going to look at the budget again, and they're going to say what studios are getting the money that they need, what studios. They're going to look at the metrics. The most important thing, this studio promises by this date. Are they actually like doing all of their internal metrics so that they can get to that point? If not, why? Can it be fixed? Do we need to lay them off? Do we need to change out leadership? Whatever it needs to be. And that's going to keep happening probably for a few years until they finally get their act together and are able to actually turn a profit. Because, the name AAA came out because it was supposed to be a guaranteed investment for getting tons of money. And now it is about the worst investment that you can possibly do because it's filled by a bunch of entitled brats. Good riddance. But that's all for here. Thank you for your time and hope to see you again in a future video. Farewell.